All the tales of supposedly blue-eyed and red, almost European appearance, Genghis Khan, originate with the Persian chronicle of Rashid ad-Din. But he lived in the 14th century, more than a century after the death of the great Mongol. There is too much gap to completely trust his words. But we know for sure that the grandson of Genghis Khan, Kubilai Khan, oversaw the creation of a portrait of his grandfather. At the age of 12, the boy could still remember him. And on the portrait, we see the ordinary appearance of the Mongol Khan. Dark skin, slanting eyes, except from an unusual beard for that time. Historians have a version that once long ago, the warriors of the hostile tribe abducted the wife of Genghis Khan, and the Khan had to rescue her from captivity, having carried out a lightning-fast operation comparable to the actions of modern commando. Maybe this event was reflected in the status of Mongol women? They felt much freer than Chinese, Persian, or European women. Kagan allowed women to fight on a par with men and participate in the country's political activity. And the abduction of wives and marriages against will were prohibited by law. According to various calculations, Genghis Khan had about 500 wives and more than 3,000 concubines. Among them, 4 older wives occupied a special place. Genghis Khan was often given as a tribute to Genghis Khan, or gesture of goodwill. Moreover, since ancient times it was believed that if the Khan has few children, then he is a failed man. You can often hear that the Mongol Empire under Genghis Khan was the largest in the history of mankind. This is partly true. It is really the largest of the ever-existing land states. However, this is not so. For example, in 1919 to 1922, the giant British Empire surpassed Mongolia even at the zenith of its power. The Mongol Empire under Genghis Khan lost the size of the Arab Umayyadsky Caliphate, Macedonia, Alexander the Great. In general, the palm of championship in this matter is not at all clear. And of course, stupid stereotypes about the Mughal army. Hordes of ferocious nomads on stunted horses dressed in skins of wild animals and waving primitive clubs. The idea of the Mongol Empire as an ignorant hordes diverges greatly with reality. The army of Genghis Khan was actually one of the most advanced and organized military vehicles of its time. Firstly, they had a clear hierarchical structure, from arban, analogues of platoons, to tumans, modern divisions, iron subordination and discipline. Secondly, the Mongol warriors already used composite bows, arrows, siege guns, and later even borrowed the first guns from the Chinese. And the teams in the troops were given through the system of flags and lanterns, high tech of those days. And that's not all. The Mongol Empire possessed its own writing, legislation, currency, and logistics. And the heir to Genghis Khan Ugadi generally created one of the first regular postal services in the world. The messengers delivered letters throughout the empire. For a long time, China traded with Europe thanks to the Silk trading path. But the merchants were waiting for a lot of dangers on the way, so the road had to be temporarily closed. A little later, Genghis Khan won these lands, and during his reign, the Silk Path resumed his work. It is this period that is considered gold. The safest time is for merchants. The Mongols even organized parking, where travelers could cool and relax. No one has robbed them now. Which of us did not see in the cinema, or did not read in books? How did the hordes of the Mongol horsemen piled on defenseless towns? And although it was useless to fight back, local heroes still resisted to the last. For there were many enemies. How many Mongolian soldiers were in those days? Perhaps you will be surprised, but by no means millions, as you might think. Scientists have already established that the maximum number of the army of Genghis Khan was 230,000 people. This is during a campaign to the Persian city of Khwarezm. By the time of the death of Genghis Khan himself in 1227, about 129,000 soldiers remained in the army. This is according to the most generous estimates.